I've had a lot of people ask me, why is Gen Z not drinking wine? And it's kind of a topic that's scaring a lot of winemakers and industry professionals because they're seeing a constant decrease in wine consumption. And the reality is that Gen Z is not just not drinking wine, they're also not drinking beer, they're not drinking any type of alcohol. And so this sober culture has really impacted a lot of alcohol sales. Hi, friends, and welcome to the Wine CEO podcast channel. My name is Sarah, and I'm a certified sommelier and host of the Wine CEO podcast. Each week on this channel, I love to break apart interesting wine topics to help you learn and grow in a really fun and approachable way. Gone are the days where you have to be intimidated shopping for wine at the grocery store or trying to select a wine for dinner when you're out at a restaurant. I am here to help you learn about wine in small tidbits each week to help you grow over time to be a confident wine consumer. Whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, or following along on my Instagram at The Wine CEO, be sure to subscribe to the channel now so that you don't miss exciting wine content and you can start learning today. All right, friends, so today is kind of a fun episode. I'm kicking off all of my new episodes post my sabbatical with kind of an interesting hot topic in the wine industry. I've had a lot of people ask me, why is Gen Z not drinking wine? And it's kind of a topic that's scaring a lot of winemakers and industry professionals because they're seeing a constant decrease in wine consumption. And the reality is that Gen Z is not just not drinking wine. They're also not drinking beer. They're not drinking any type of alcohol. And so this sober culture has really impacted a lot of alcohol sales. Now, some people could argue that the sober culture is a really positive thing because obviously alcohol has its negative side effects as well, right? We can all argue that without moderation, alcohol can be a really dangerous thing as well. And I like to be really careful whenever I'm talking about wine on my channel because I never want to promote an unhealthy lifestyle. For me, wine is all about enjoying something that has historically and culturally been a really huge aspect for a lot of people. And it's also something that when you pair with food, has a wonderful way to bring out amazing flavors in a meal. Also, wine is a business that for many small farmers around the world has been a part of their family for many, many generations. And so I love talking about wine from the cultural aspect and the historical aspect of what an amazing product it is. And I love to make sure that while it is something that I love and I'm passionate about it, I'm never pushing wine or glorifying it to a point where someone would overconsume. I think again that wine can be an amazing addition to a meal or a social gathering, but again, everything in moderation. So not that there's anything wrong with the sober culture, but let's talk a little bit about maybe why Gen Z has not been diving into wine. It's funny because about 15 years ago, many of the wine industry professionals were seeing that millennials were not drinking wine as well. And as a millennial, I have to admit, 15 years ago, I wasn't drinking wine, right? I had kind of just gotten into the hospitality industry and I was maybe just starting to understand the value that wine could pair with food and what that could bring to your experience as a customer, but I definitely was not drinking wine. And I think that that is really for two reasons that still ring true for Gen Zers today. In order to understand wine, one, I think you have to be able to afford wine. And so that means a lot of disposable income. And usually when you're younger and you're starting out your career, you may not have as much disposable income. You may not have as much money to spend on some of those fun things like a more expensive bottle of wine or even wine in general. And so when you go out to eat, it may not be something that fits within your budget. So I think that first of all, Gen Zers don't necessarily have the budget right now that would allow them to explore the world of wine. And so that makes them kind of look into other things. But I think the second thing that's really key in keeping some of the Gen Zers from buying more wine right now is just a lack of knowledge, right? As you grow, as you get older, as you have the time to experience more of the world, as you have the ability to try more wines and go out to dinner more, you may start to understand how wine is so much more than just a drink or a beverage, just a substance, but it really is something that helps you understand someone's culture a lot more, or it's something that helps enhance your meal. And so again, I think that's something that takes time to understand. Additionally, the wine of world is enormous. You have so many different regions, so many different wine varieties, and it can take a long time to find what you like or to feel comfortable exploring a lot of things outside of maybe what you're familiar with, you know, your simple Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, right? So if someone's not as familiar and they kind of just see a small subsect, they may not have the confidence to explore more beyond that. And so I think that does kind of speak to Gen Z as well. They just haven't had as much time where they've been able to experience the wine world, explore what all is out there, and really pique their interest and have that curiosity to learn more. And so I think that these are probably my two main reasons why I think Gen Z is not necessarily drinking as much wine right now. But personally, I think we could see that shift. I think we could definitely see the trend change where as this generation gets a little bit older, they will come to enjoy wine and experience it as well. That may not be the case. We can all talk again in 15 years and I may be totally wrong and this might be some trend that just continues, but we've definitely seen that in the past, whereas generations get a little bit older, they do grow into a bit of a wine experience. And so I think that's what will happen here. It's interesting that we are seeing that those Gen Zers who do enjoy wine right now are really leaning toward sweeter wines. This is really interesting to me because at least in the US, we've seen consumers kind of veering away from sweet wines over the last few decades and enjoying more dry styles. So I think it's interesting that we have this kind of newer generation that's really looking for sweeter beverages. And who knows if that's again because they're just younger and so having a little extra sugar content on the palate seems to make different unique flavors a little easier to enjoy. So they might change in time, but it'll be interesting to see if winemakers react and start to make some sweeter styles of sparkling wines and other types of wines to see if that becomes a new trend that is in the near future. So we'll have to see what happens there. But I think in general, there is still hope for Gen Z. I'm not going to write them off quite yet. And hopefully, if you're watching this and you're a part of Gen Z, keep watching, learn more about wine. I promise it is such an exciting world. And really, when you taste in moderation, you can have such a wonderful way to add to your dining experience or a social gathering. And if you love history and you love travel, then you are definitely in the right place. In fact, my mom's a scientist and she's loving wine because there's a lot of science in wine too. So really, if you have a passion for any of those areas as well, wine is a really fun hobby because it's something that you can definitely learn a lot about. So that's my quick take on what we see happening with this trend in the industry. I really hope we see it change. And if you are a part of Gen Z, drop a comment below. Let us know why you may not be enjoying wine right now. And if you are not a part of Gen Z, maybe drop a comment anyway. Let me know what you're drinking right now and how you hope Gen Z will come to enjoy wine so much more in the near future. As always, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, be sure to hit that button right now. I have a lot of great content coming up in the next couple weeks that you don't want to miss. One of the most popular episodes of every year is my holiday gift guide, and so that will be coming up very soon. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, follow along on Instagram at The Wine CEO, and as always, you can always send me any questions you may have also via email, sarah@thewineceo.com. I hope you drank something new and delicious this week, friends, and I will catch you all in the next episode of the Wine CEO podcast.